His wife vanished without a trace. He claimed she simply left for Denmark. But one snowstorm night, a woodchipper on a lonely bridge would unravel everything, and tiny fragments no one was supposed to find would prove he thought he'd committed the perfect crime. It was 1986 in the quiet town of Newtown, Connecticut. Helle Krafft, a vibrant 39-year-old Danish flight attendant with an infectious smile and a passion for travel, had built a life that looked picture-perfect on the surface. Married to Richard Krafft, a respected Eastern Airlines pilot and part-time local police officer, the couple seemed to embody stability. But behind closed doors, cracks had formed. Helle had grown suspicious of her husband's late nights and secretive behavior. She confided in close friends that she believed he was having affairs. Determined to know the truth before making any life-changing decisions, she quietly hired a private investigator named Keith Mayo. What he uncovered. Photographic proof of Richard's infidelity left Helle heartbroken yet resolute. She planned to confront him and start fresh. The stakes couldn't have been higher, a potential divorce in a tight-knit community where reputations mattered, and Helle's future hanging in the balance. On November 18, friends dropped her off at their home after a long flight. It was the last time anyone would see Helle Krafft alive. Richard told everyone she had simply packed up and flown back to Denmark to visit family. But those closest to her knew something felt terribly wrong. The search for answers was about to begin, and what investigators would uncover would shatter the illusion of a simple marital fallout. As days turned into weeks with no word from Helle, her friends grew increasingly alarmed. They contacted police, insisting this wasn't like her, no calls, no letters, nothing. Richard remained calm, almost too calm, repeating his story that his wife had left him and returned to her homeland. But subtle clues began piling up that told a different tale. Investigators learned Richard had recently purchased a brand new chest freezer and new bedding. He had also rented a large U-Haul truck and, curiously, a powerful woodchipper from a local dealer just days before Helle's disappearance. Why would a pilot need such equipment in the middle of winter? The questions mounted, but without a body or clear evidence of foul play, the case lingered in limbo. Then came the first major break. During a fierce blizzard that same week, a snowplow driver was out clearing roads late at night when he spotted something eerie, a man operating a woodchipper on a bridge over the icy waters of Lake Zoa along the Housatonic River. The machine roared in the storm as wood chips and debris sprayed into the darkness below. The driver thought it odd, why chip wood at 3 a.m. in a blizzard, but drove on. When police finally connected the dots to Richard's rental records, they raced to the riverbank. What they found there defied belief. Scattered among piles of wood chips were minuscule traces, strands of hair matching Helle's distinctive blonde color and length, faint traces of blood, and even a tiny fragment of a fingernail. Search teams combed the area for hours, sifting through the frozen ground and river shallows. More fragments emerged, bone slivers so small they required microscopes to examine. The investigation intensified. Richard's home was searched, revealing more inconsistencies. Cleaned areas that still held microscopic evidence, and receipts that lined up too perfectly with the timeline of Helle's vanishing. Friends recalled how Helle had been excited about her future, not planning a sudden exit. The private investigator handed over his files, showing the motive of a marriage on the brink. Every lead pointed back to one man, yet without a full body, proving murder seemed impossible. Cliffhanger after cliffhanger built as the community held its breath. Had a respected local officer really made his wife disappear forever? The evidence was there, but would it be enough? Just when the case seemed destined to go cold, forensic experts delivered the revelation that would rewrite legal history in Connecticut. State medical examiners, led by Dr. H. Wayne Carver, took the tiny fragments recovered from the river and began painstaking analysis. Hair samples matched Helle's exactly, down to the dye and root structure. Blood traces aligned with her type. But the bombshell came with a single tooth fragment, a dental crown that perfectly matched Helle's dental records from her last checkup. Even more damning, they conducted controlled experiments, feeding animal remains through an identical woodchipper to compare the splintered patterns. The results were identical to the evidence pulled from Lake Zoa. The twist hit like lightning. Richard Krafft had not just hidden a body. He had methodically disposed of it by feeding it through the rented woodchipper on that frozen bridge, scattering the remains into the river under cover of a blizzard, believing the water and wood chips would erase every trace. He had rented the equipment, driven it out in the U-Haul during the storm, and operated it in plain sight of only one witness who almost missed the moment. The man who once wore a badge and flew commercial jets had banked on the perfect crime, confident that without a recognizable body, no jury could convict. But science and persistence proved him wrong. This was no ordinary disappearance. It was a calculated effort to make Haley vanish completely, until those microscopic clues refused to stay hidden. The revelation stunned the courtroom and the nation, a murder conviction built not on a corpse, but on fragments smaller than a fingernail. Richard Kraft was arrested, tried, and in 1989 convicted of murder in Connecticut's first-ever case secured without a victim's body present. Sentenced to 50 years in prison, he maintained his innocence to the end, but the evidence had